Urban Meyer, 3 national championships. I think one of the most remarkable things about Urban Meyer, who's now part of the new Fox College football show, 15 bowl games, 12-3. In fact, your teams in 15 bowl games, you had one really bad bowl game, and I remember afterwards you were at Florida. You said, I didn't like this team. This team drove me crazy. Do you remember that team that had a bunch of NFL guys and it drove you nuts?
I think it was 2007.
Exactly, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're one of the great bowl game coaches, turned around 2 programs. By the way, folks, played college football at Cincinnati. He was a defensive back, and he would hit you. I know all about Urban Meyer. Okay, now let's get to the stuff that I'm fascinated with. Dwayne Haskins. Okay, I said the New York Giants have the number 6 pick. So I watched him at Ohio State. He's a perfect pocket guy. He moves. I don't love his accuracy. But here's my problem. You had so many good receivers at Ohio State this year that so many of his yards, a lot of drag, you get Paris Campbell the ball, boom, he's gone. How much is Dwayne and how much are the receivers? I don't remember you having this many good, speedy receivers. How much credit does he get, and how much was your offense and the receivers, Coach?
Well, I think that's a great analysis. I think that, we've had, you go Alex Smith to Chris Leak to Tim Tebow to Cardell Jones, J.T. Barrett, Braxton Miller was in there. He's by far the most accurate guy. I put him a lot with the same with Alex Smith that we had. But the job of a quarterback is utilize his personnel, and that's what he did. We had very good receivers, yet, and the other thing that his accuracy is number 1. Number 2 is his football IQ is outstanding. Ryan Day did a great job with him, but he never really got hit. And he had he has great peasants to understand which way to flip the protection, and that's going to be, I think that's one of the most overlooked things for quarterbacks. What's his football IQ? Because when you see him not get hit, you say, well, the offense line is great. Wait a minute. A lot of times they're flipping protections to make sure they're picking up the pressures, and that's what, other than accuracy, that's Dwayne's strength.
Okay, when he moves, his accuracy dip. Should I be concerned?
His movement is just okay. He's not. But I saw his body the other day when he was training. He's still young. He has 1 year under his belt playing. He's grown up into his body, and I that's a concern, but not that big a concern.
Is he mature enough to be the face of a $5 billion franchise?
Not yet. He's close, though. He's only got 1 year under his belt, and I think the situation will be perfect. And there's a couple of them out there. He comes in, he learns for a year. At some point, he'll be the face of a franchise.
Okay, because the Giants are a $6 billion franchise eventually, and there's a lot of heat in New York. You put him behind Eli, show him how to be a pro. That worked for you?
A lot of conversation about that, and without studying it in great detail, I think that's ideal.
Okay. Now I want to talk about Nick Bosa. So when Joey came out years ago, I said this on the air. I said he's either going to be great or a bust, because I watched him. He took a bunch of plays off. And I said, I like my edge rusher. Sometimes I'll give a 330-pound defensive tackle some plays off. A lot of body weight. I look at Nick, and this is just what my eyes tell me. There's a little brother I like in him. He's feistier. And when your brother's great, you want to prove you're as good as your brother. I actually like this Bosa, and the other one's great, more than the other one. There's something about his motor. Okay, so what am I seeing? Explain, because you had both.
Well, it's a great family lineage, too.
Yes.
His father was a first-round draft pick out of Boston College. His mother's brother was Eric Kumro. And so that's another first-round draft pick. Nick Bosa is as good a football player. He's a tough cat. He's a 3.3 GPA guy. He does everything right. When he went down, it took us 2 months to get over that. That's how good of a player he is. I don't know if there's a can't miss, but if I'm a general manager in the NFL, I don't know how you let that one go. That's how good a player he is.
Really?
He's that good.
You have to double him. Khalil Mack-ish.
Yeah, you have to chip him, double him. You have to slide to him. There's different ways that people are going to try it. But his 4 to 6, well, we call 4 to 6 A to B. His relentless pursuit of a quarterback and effort is as good as I've ever seen.
I don't see him take plays off.
No, he's an animal. He's an animal, and he just trains like an animal, too. He's the entire package.
Okay, I want to go to the number 1 pick, Kyler Murray. So when I think of you, Urban, I actually think of offense and I think of quarterbacks. People forget how good Chris Leak was because Tebow was so dynamic and so, he was just – Tim Tebow was college football for about 3 years. People forget Chris Leak was unbelievable. A tremendous player, very cerebral, but he didn't have the size for the NFL. So you've had a lot of different quarterbacks. You had runners. You had Alex Smith can run, so
Sure.
like straight line speed, big time. So I look at Kyler Murray and I'm like, okay, he looks small to me. I know he put on 10 pounds here. He looks like he plays at 188. I draft Bosa. Just zero doubt, size, speed. Is it when you look as a guy who knows quarterbacks, can't I say it looks like he plays at 188? Kyler looks small to me.
I think the Russell Wilson has given every small quarterback a glimmer of hope, because you'd think logically to put a 5'10", 5'11", however big Kyler is, behind these giant human beings, that doesn't make sense. But the coach did a great job getting him out of the pocket, creating throwing lanes for him. And he's arguably, we had Braxton Miller. He looks to me like a Braxton Miller back there. I mean, a guy that can extend plays, elite athlete, and obviously has an elite arm. Here's a question. He has 1 year body work. Those are the two top quarterbacks in the NFL draft right now. They played 1 year of football. And you're talking about quarterback experts or, the guy. Usually it takes 4 to 5 years to learn how to play that position. Those would be my concerns about our guy, Dwayne, and Kyler. I mean, they have 1 year.
If you ran an NFL franchise and you're a college guy and that's what you love, and I think it works, you and Nick Saban, I think your personalities work for college. You're both great recruiters and personnel guys. Not that you couldn't work at the next level, but if you did run an NFL franchise today, would you take the bigger Dwayne, the athletic guy? I think I would sit in that room and I'd struggle with the size. Maybe I couldn't get over it. Because everybody says Russell Wilson, coach, Russell's one of the best players I've ever seen play the game. That's not fair. I'm not saying you said it. Everybody's saying Russell Wilson. I'm like, does everybody get Russell Wilson's a first ballot Hall of Famer? Could you take Kyler number one?
I could. Would I take him ahead of Dwayne? I'm not sure. You said the same thing about Russell Wilson. I'll say the same thing about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. That's so hard to be the guy that can't get out of trouble. And I look at Peyton Manning and I look at Tom Brady, and I've coached that position forever, been around, stand right behind him in practice. That's why it's so hard to find the pure classic drop-back quarterback that's exceptional. I think if I'm a guy, if I'm a general manager, you have to have a quarterback that can get out of trouble. I believe Dwayne can do that. He's not going to be the Kyler Murray, and he's not going to be Russell Wilson, but he's good enough to get yourself out of trouble, and that's a huge part of playing quarterback.
Yeah. So you, Bowling Green, you turned around immediately. Utah, you turned around immediately. Florida, you turned around immediately. Ohio State, you turned around immediately. Bill Parcells is the only person in the history of football that I can compare you to. Takes Nick a while. Took Belichick a while. It didn't take you a while. Didn't take Parcells. What's the secret sauce into quick turnarounds? Because if you're a Jet coach and Adam Gase, you're looking for a quick turnaround. Like, what is your secret sauce on that?
I appreciate those kind words. And I think I talked to a lot of young coaches about this. I think it's this. I think it's not secret sauce. It's when you see a coach take over a program, a lot of times you'll hear the media and you'll hear sometimes coaches say, wait till I get my guys in here. The minute you say I'm the coach, they're your guys. And you better love them, you better grind them, and you better embrace their talents and not say, wait till I get my own guys in there. That drives me insane when I hear that. So we go to Bowling Green. They're great players there. You never take a shot at the previous coach. You don't do that. You embrace it. You love these guys up. They're your family now. And, I just think we took over at Bowling Green from great coach Gary Blackney. Took over for Ron McBride at Utah.
He was terrific.
Ron Zook, great coach. And obviously Jim Tressel and Luke Fickell, great coaches. So we would never go backwards and say, well, don't worry about that. They're your players. Love them up. Create that team. They are your guys. And I used to hear the media say, well, wait till he get his own guys in there. These are our guys. The minute you sign on as head coach, they're your players.
So the NFL draft is interesting because, you do this. You see a high school kid and he dominates physically. And then you get him to Ohio State, and some guys, they just don't love football. And then the Bosas, they love football. So you've recruited a lot of 5-star guys, and they play like 3-star guys. And I could name guys you've taken who are 3-star guys and play like 5-star guys. So you're sitting there if when Belichick calls you, and Bill's called you 100 times, and like, how much of football? Obviously, there's a sized thing that matters, but when you and Belichick, as much as you could tell me, have a conversation, it seems like a lot of times Bill doesn't get caught up solely in that. That Bill has built an NFL dynasty that's double the length of the Niners, triple the length of Jimmy Johnson's. It's unheard of. A conversation with Bill. What moves Bill on players?
The same thing that moves me, and I think the people that do the research on players. Bill Belichick's one of the few head coaches that comes and spends time with our staff. He wants to know, because he has the measurables, 40-yard dash, vertical jump, height, weight, 225 bench press test. To him, that's called measurables. In measurables, here's a question I have when I recruit. Let me see him in the rivalry game. On fourth down, why is that coach not running behind that right tackle if he's your best player? On fourth down or the big situations of the game, why is he not showing up? I don't want to see the highlight tapes of him against an inferior opponent where he's running touchdowns and sacking quarterbacks. That means no difference. So to me, it's the competitive spirit in the hardest situations. And we said, when I needed you the most, did you give us your very best? That's what makes Bosa Bosa now. He's going to play his best in the best games. And when we go out recruit, the mistakes we made, or when we say he's got the talent, but he just doesn't show up in the big game, I fight that big time. And I know Coach Belichick and the elite coaches, to me, they're the ones always asking me those questions. What's he like against our rival? What's he like on fourth down? Is he the guy that you're going to run behind? Is he the guy that you're going to give the ball to? Those are the guys that have the competitive heart to be champions.
Rich McKay told me years ago, you know Rich, Atlanta Falcons, he used to run the Buccaneers. He said, I love watching Saturday night SEC games. Who stars? That's 100,000 people. You're 19 years old. He goes, if you can star in that environment at 19, at 24, you can star for us against the Saints on Monday Night Football. Like, to your point, big games, big moments, who stars in the SEC on a Saturday night?
Competitive spirit. That's the difference between it's not tall, short, fast, slow. It's competitive spirit.
Every coach whiffs on somebody. What's the recruit you're proudest of in your life? You found a guy, he was ignored, and it was I told you so.
Oh, man. You put me on the spot there.
That's what I do. It's a journalist do, Coach.
Well, I think J.T. Barrett would be the guy that was not a highly recruited guy. Yeah. And I'm not claiming I found him because actually Tom Herman found him, but brought him to me. And here he goes down as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play at Ohio State.
Talk about a big game quarterback.
Oh, yeah. And my Fox college football team analyst, they were giving me a hard time saying, on third down and one, we knew what you were going to do, and you had J.T. I was like, you're damn right, because he couldn't stop it. J.T. Barrett for a first down.
All right, here we go. Let's bring out the new crew. Fox College Football Saturday afternoon show. Rob Stone, Reggie Bush, Brady Quinn, Matt Leinart. Let's bring them out. Rob Stone, you have your hands full dealing with these guys. You're going to have to deal with
it's all right. It's 31. 31. I know, just to hand it to Urban. Just keep, feed the machine.
So, college football, this is our new crew. Of all the guys here, and I think I've known all of you. Brady's probably the guy I haven't known. You're very outspoken, and that's what I love about. No, the guy I haven't spent the time with.
You know us Notre Dame guys. We fire shots, right? You got to watch out.
So let me ask you I want to ask you a draft question. So you have all these quarterbacks out here. Now, last year I thought, boy, these are a bunch of A's or potential A's. This year I look at them, I say, they could be good, but they feel like they all need to be developed. If I said, Brady, to you, what quarterback, you've got the number one pick or a top pick, who pops for you?
Dwayne Haskins for me. I mean, it's not because Coach is sitting right there. We tend to agree upon it. I got a chance to break him down a number of times this past year, and I think one of the things you saw throughout his game is he has a strong understanding of where the weaknesses are in the defense, what they're asking him to do, how to execute it, but also how he can exploit what the defense is trying to take away. So I looked at his game, the way he throws the football. He can make every throw. He's accurate. And I think the one thing that I even noticed a little bit, and Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, we saw him earlier in the year and we saw him later in the year.
Better player.
Well, not only a better player, you saw him grow as far as a leader and just the way he talked to you. He had more confidence. He had a little bit more bravado, if you will, as far as how he handled things. So that kind of came off to me as, he's only got 1 year of starting, but he's going to be able to grow and to continue to progress. And I think what they asked him to do at Ohio State's going to be very similar in the NFL.
Okay, now, Matt, it's interesting because I struggled evaluating you out of college. I've joked to this. Much like at Ohio State at USC, when you've got NFL guys up front, you don't face duress a lot. When you have a Paris Campbell or you have a Steve Smith at USC, do you worry about Tua next year or Dwayne this year that you got better players around you? USC, you go to the NFL, and you don't. Do you worry about that with Haskins?
No, I don't. I think, like Coach says, and he would know this better than any of us, but Dwayne was really good at getting the ball out fast and understanding, like Brady said, understanding where defenses are trying to do to you offensively, where you're trying to exploit an offense. And the smart quarterbacks, even if they're not the most mobile or even if they have a great offensive line, they understand where the ball needs to go and they understand where it needs to go quickly. And, you know, for me, obviously, I played behind a great offensive line, one of the best. I had great players around me. And then when you do transition to the NFL, one of my, I think, positive in my game was I was smart. I knew where the blitz was coming. I knew where to get the ball out. So with Dwayne, I do think there's a small sample size. There's a 1-year sample size, but the sky is the limit for this kid. And I think if he goes to a place where he can sit and understand, he's a big kid. I mean, he's a big kid, and I think if he can sit for a year or two and understand and get used to the speed of the NFL game, that's another thing, the speed and the size. He's got a chance to be a star.
Coach is chomping at the bit. You want to say something? I can see
I'm just looking at these two beautiful quarterbacks, and then Rob right between them.
Here's what I need.
There's a two-way.
No, I need this table.
You stand on top of this?
I need this table.
Yeah! That's the way the world should be.
We have Heisman.
Thank you. Very.
By the way,
well-groomed.
I
don't think this table was made for me.
I've known Robbie for about 25 years, soccer player. We used to work in Tampa together. Poor Reggie, you're a running back. If this interview was 15 years ago, I wouldn't even care about these guys. What's it like to hang around quarterbacks, and it's all guys like me talk about now?
I'm enjoying it. Obviously, me and Matt have a great relationship. We go back a long time. And just getting to know Brady, Rob, Coach, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to building the chemistry. We've already been taking little cheap shots at each other, having fun. And that's really what it's all about, is recreating that chemistry on TV and allowing people to see just the authentic and genuine side of us.
Great stuff. Guys, congrats to all of you. Coach, it's great to have you on the team. Reggie, Matt, Rob, and Brady Quinn, congratulations to all of you.
Thanks, Colin.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Colin.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.